Tonight's Soul Connection product spotlight is a product that is really near and dear to my heart for this exact reason. It, to me, is one of the most powerful formulas that, you know, really just kind of goes to the heart. Like, you have the best sleep that you've ever had. And people that try it one time, that's usually when they come back to me that first night, they get their products and I have them start with ReNue that first night. And they'll say, oh man, I had the best sleep I ever had. And so this is Solle ReNue, and I have Greg Halliday, the founder and president of Solle Naturals, to talk to us more about Solle ReNue and how it can help us with our sleep.
Thank you, Erica. And so much wonderful high value training tonight. I thought maybe I'd start with just the part that I'll share on ReNue with a story. In one of the visits that I made to Michigan, one of our specialists was involved with 2 chiropractic offices, and one of them was a new office they'd opened that was maybe 5 miles, and it's kind of like northern western Michigan, so it's the less populated area. And brand new chiropractor, really sharp. I'd say she, because I'm getting older, so to me she was really young, but she was probably in her 30s, and she really just took a quick interest in Solle products when she just learned a little bit about the formulas and the approach. And so I happened to be coming up for a visit, and she had been sharing with a few of her clients. Well, she told me a story about a younger woman who I would say was late 20s. And she said, if you don't mind, if you'll stay long enough this time, she wants to come and visit. So she ended up coming with her mother. And the reason she came with her mother, she was married and had 2 children. Her mother was taking care of her children and had done that for 7 years. The reason that her mother was taking care of her children at such a young age and had nearly always done so is because since she was 13, she had not had a single night that she had slept more than 2 hours. She had very severe sleep issues, did not know why, and had tried virtually everything. If she were here and could talk you through it, every drug every over-the-counter sleep aid on the market, every prescription that was known in any way related to sleep, and had been visiting the chiropractor for other more structural issues, and was sharing this, and the chiropractor being brand new to Solle and not hardly knowing anything. And she just said, you know something? Here, just take this box, try this box. She took it home. She took 1 packet. I think she just drank it cold. She just mixed it in the amount of water. And she said, I did not wake up. It was 4 p.m. when she left the chiropractor's office. She woke up at 1 a.m. She hadn't slept 7 hours ever since she remembered, since she had been 13. So she came back and said, what is in this? What drug is in this? There's no drug in it. And so there is much more to the story, but I'll just jump forward. So I got to meet her the next time I was out. And this time her mother came. There was such a great change. They wanted to see what else Solle had. The only reason I share this with you is what Erica's taught tonight is life-saving for some people. And it is life-enhancing and life-changing for all of us, because life will throw curveballs. And sometimes we can all have periods of time that are great, right, with sleep, and other times they just aren't. And it's not always easy to figure it out. So I love the way that you've outlined it. Let's just for a second, and I just want to share with you a few tidbits, facts about some of the herbs that are in ReNue from studies that were combined by Dr. Allison, and see if they don't strike a chord from what Erica said, because a number of them will directly tie into these 3 things that Erica's teaching us. I'm talking about 3 major impacts in our sleep, our ability to sleep, to not even mention your list. Some of these ingredients will be familiar to you. Chamomile is the first one I want to mention. So chamomile, not only does it have this calming effect and is a really popular tea, did you know that chamomile can make a big difference with hay fever and allergies? It is something that brings inflammation down of all types. It is a normalizer for menstrual fluctuations and disorders, if you want to call it that, imbalances that come with the menstrual cycle. It is a wound healer. It is an ulcer repairer. And any kind of digestive pain, chamomile actually is known to bring to calm. So a couple of facts about chamomile. Now, another one that is not so well known that is a big part of ReNue is Motherwort. It is called a cardiaca because heart palpitations, which come from various reasons, and I know from experience in my family, can have a major impact on sleep. Motherwort in the German Commission is actually listed as a remedy for irregular heartbeat from stress in particular. And in Chinese medicine, it's cited because it normalizes muscular spasms or spasms of different. So isn't that interesting how that relates into these heart spasms and palpitations? Motherwort also is this wonderful herb in situations where anxiety and or depression are tied to high blood pressure. So it is a blood pressure lowering herb. It is anticonvulsant, so yet another property dealing with sort of like spastic situations. So we don't talk about Motherwort probably enough with ReNue, but it is a major key in that formula, doing the things that Erica and all of us love about ReNue, which is bringing calm, enabling repair of the body within which it does during sleep. Maybe dominating the repair process during that period of time. And Motherwort's a big part of that we don't always talk about. Another ingredient is Schisandra, which is an adaptogen. And in a study that I was recently looking at on Schisandra, has to do with markers that come in because of stress. And this was an animal study. These animals subjected to a lot of stress were shown to be much more likely, and very many of them created abnormal cells and tumors as part of their stress reaction. And when Schisandra was added to their diet, those diminished and their natural health markers reappeared in terms of immunity. So yet another link between, think about stress and sleep and immunity. That was something else that Erica tied for us. It also, Schisandra is also a blood vessel relaxer. And one of my favorite parts about Schisandra, because it's fascinating to listen to Erica talking tonight, is that it's a modulator, a regulator of several neurotransmitters, among them serotonin, cortisol, adrenaline. So I love to think about that for a second. So here's another ingredient in ReNue that has something to do with this balance, because I like the way Erica said it. It's a symphony. And when we isolate one and we take it, we might get lucky, and a lot of those things are studied now. And so we can kind of see a direction from that thing. What we can't see is all the other chords we just threw off in the symphony. And we end up learning it over time. And that's why I love several adaptogens that happen to be really and particularly strong in balancing hormones or neurotransmitters, because like Excel is this way and the macas are this way, because scientists that will study it will say, wow, these key hormones regulated, and it's not clear how, it's not clear why, but they regulated and problems improved. I think it's because of what, let's say it the way Erica does. It's because they're able in their variety of nutrients to energize the symphony and to not just energize, but also sort of recalibrate that symphony instead of just going after one of the notes, instead of just fixing the violins, or the cellos. They recalibrate all of it. So Schisandra is one of those. And just a couple of other little nuggets. passion flower. Now, passion flower is also in ReNue. Lots of studies showing that it's anti-anxiety, but also coughs, stubborn coughs, other respiratory problems like asthma, blood sugar normalizing. These are all highlights in studies. And it is for a lot of people sedative. Now, it could be for any number of reasons, but I think when you take passion flower, which is very diverse in its nutrients, and then you listen again to what Erica taught, there are several ways in which the nutrients of passion flower can make a difference, and is why it ends up being a sleep aid or a sleep help for people when that's what their body is lacking and needed. There are lots of studies that show passion flower as comparable in strength to pharmaceuticals without all those side effects and without messing with the symphony that's going on in our body. I can't talk about all of them tonight for time, but let me just mention one other one from ReNue, and that's one of my favorite ones, wood betony. So it's interesting because I was reviewing some of Dr. Allison's trainings on it. And for those of you who might be listening for the first time, she's the chief scientific advisor for Solle. And she loves to throw in these little nuggets. Wood betony is unnerving, which means it has a amazing impact on nerves. It doesn't necessarily mean it's calming. Some nervines are energy producing and others are more calming. Wood betony, to me, is more, this is my opinion, it is more calming than otherwise. It is very safe in any quantities. In fact, similar to curcumin, wood betony is such a powerful pigment when the plant is extracted that it's actually used for dye as well, as a yellow dye. So it's really interesting to me. Plants like that I tend to pay particular attention to. But when you read all the experiences of wood betony about anything to do with the head, and I think of how much of what Eric has talked about, you know, from pineal to the body clock to this dance between cortisol and melatonin, right? Melatonin and cortisol. But wood betony, it gets oversimplified to, hey, anything to do with your head, from ear infection to like anything that happens up here. And the reason is it's so diverse and it's so adaptogenic, it literally does have an effect and an influence, a positive effect on all things to do, from migraine to sleep, to inflammation, to infection, to all sorts of, I'd say, health, let's call it health terrain imbalances that are part of everything going on in our head. So it's another favorite ingredient that happens to be in both of the original calming formulas at Solle. It happens to be in Veritizymes, and it's so important we put it in ReNue as well. And there are other things in ReNue, but ReNue, I understand if people sort of associate it directly with sleep because it has a huge impact on it. And I haven't even mentioned everything. It's a muscle relaxer too. And that's why when people, it pulls tension down and suddenly, okay, my body feels like I can get to sleep. So it does lots of things. Anyway, Erica, back to you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing. I have to say what I love, and I love learning about all of the ingredients, and I love learning, but what I love about, you know, we can look at all these different things, but we almost don't, like, we don't have to know how it works, like, for it to work. And I always love the fact that, you know, I know that it's going to be calming and it's in that category and it's going to calm and it's going to help me to reset and restore. And so I can always go to it for that.